What do you have to do to get a septic permit to build a house?
I'm Margo.
And I'm Sheryl, and we're realtors here in Crossville, Tennessee, Cumberland County. We're going to talk just a little bit about the process of getting a soil test, getting a septic permit, getting ready to build a house, because most of our area doesn't have public sewer. So one of the things that may be new to people who are moving into this area is that in order to build, you have to have a septic system.
I'm looking at a piece of property. How do I know I can build a septic on this property? What do I need to do?
Well, a lot of it depends on the size of the property. So if you're buying a small lot, which if you're in Fairfield Glade, a lot of that has sewer, so you don't have to worry so much about that. Lake Tansy, on the other hand, has to have a septic system, and they're very small lots. So the first thing that you have to do is to have a soil scientist test the soil. So they'll measure the depth of the soil, they'll check how fast the water drains from the soil, and they'll tell you what type of soil it is, because certain types drain faster.
I hear the term perk test. Is that a perk test?
I think that they don't officially call them perk test anymore. They call it a soil mapping, but I think that that's included in it. So what they're looking for is a depth of like 24 to 30 inches before you hit rock, and they're looking for a specific drainage rate. So it can't drain too fast or too slow. It's got to be a certain type of soil with a good drainage rate, and a lot of that depends on also the slope of the lot. So that's the first step, is you have that soil mapping done, and then that map is presented to the soil engineer from the state of Tennessee, and he is the one who will look at that map and issue a permit for your septic system. So at that point, you stake off where you want the house to be, and he comes over with the soil map that you've had done and draws out a septic system for you.
Can I go online and get a permit? How would I get a permit for them to come out?
So you do apply for the permit online on the TDEC, Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. They have a website, and when you do that, they're going to ask you if you have staked out where you want the house to be. So when they draw this permit and they issue the permit, then you get with the licensed septic installer to come and install the septic system, and then TDEC comes back and inspects that system and issues you the certificate of completion. And that's when you have an official septic system approved by the state of Tennessee.
So if I'm looking at a property and the seller's already put soil map done, does that tell me, yes, I can build a 3-bedroom home? No, I can't.
Just the map is no guarantee. So the map has to be evaluated by
doing the permitting.
Yes. Now, you don't actually have to get a full permit, because the permits, I think, are only good for 3 years. But you can get an evaluation based on that map by the TDEC office, and they will tell you whether or not you will be able to get a permit.
Does that have a price? Does that have a cost?
I think the soil mapping, the last time I had soil mapping done, I think was about $400 for a small lot. And so it would depend on the area that you're having mapped. The permit, I think, is $500, and the evaluation may be slightly less than $500. So all in all, I think you're looking at roughly $1,000 to have the mapping and apply for the permit before you're even ready to install the septic system, and then you have the cost of the installation. Now, if you're buying a larger tract of land, you may be able to skip the mapping part. So if they feel like there's enough land to have a septic system, then the TDEC soil engineer will come out and issue a septic permit without a map.
So like 2 or 3 acres maybe?
I don't know if there's a hard and fast cutoff. I just know that I recently had, I think, 7 acres that someone was building on, and he told me at that point that they didn't have to have the mapping. So you have to look at the kind of land that you're buying. Is it steep and rocky? Is the soil deep enough to bury a septic tank in a set of field line?
So like minimum 18 inches to 24?
I think it's 24 to 30. I think you have to have a depth of 24 to 30.
And that can be challenging.
Yeah.
In Cumberland County.
Yeah. And now, like for the tank itself, I think they can do some blasting to put the tank underground, because tank is 3 feet tall and then it has to be buried completely. But the lines have to be 24 to 36 inches deep in soil. So if you have more questions about this, reach out to us and we'll put you in contact with the people who will be able to answer all your questions about soil testing and septic systems.
And we'll be sure to add a link to the TDEC website just so you can take a look there. It's more information.